Rusty Gaude. I'm the fishery agent for St. Bernard, Plaquemine, and Orleans parishes, and I'm with the Louisiana Sea Grant program and the LSU Ag Center. The white shrimp season normally begins based on the surveys that the Wildlife and Fishery does, looking at the size of the majority of the catch that they take on these survey pulls. And when the size of the shrimp gets to a harvestable size, which is about 100 count or thereabouts, then they begin to open the season. So what we have available right now, the vast majority of the population that we have, especially in the inshore areas, are smaller shrimp that were hatched out this year. So these smaller shrimp are then being caught by the people who are going out on these first days. So consequently, most of the shrimp would be in a smaller size, and it takes a while to figure out where the shrimp are. The shrimp move in accordance with a lot of things. Some of it is salinity, other thing is water currents, and actually just the wind currents. This year is a little bit anomalous because the freshwater diversions have been opened in response to the oil spill. Again, the hydraulic, the addition of additional hydraulic pressure from these diversions, and in some cases locks, has freshened a lot of the bays that have normally a certain salinity. Now, shrimp are well known to move in response to changes in salinity, as well as wind currents and other things. So it's not known right now, but it is certainly a possibility that these shrimp have a little bit different pattern this year than they did from previous years because of the things that were brought on, not necessarily directly by the oil spill, but indirectly by the oil spill. This year, and especially in the white season, you have to think about it almost like we're catching chicks instead of chickens. Or if you want to use the analogy of the salmon industry, you know, the salmon when you have a salmon run, you have all of these mature animals that come back in to spawn. This is not the case. What we're catching right now in the white shrimp, and these initial harvest efforts of the white shrimp, are really the young and the still growing. As we go through the season, these young shrimp will be growing and the size class will be increasing in size. Right now we're catching the very minimally harvestable animals and then moving into the larger catch, and as we get into the later part of this year, we'll have larger and larger white shrimp. The actual data from the landings that are being brought in right now will not be available for public consumption for at least 2 months, because we're normally 1 month behind. So when we start a particular harvest season, then we have to wait for that data to be sent over to NOAA, and then the NOAA people process it over in St. Petersburg and then send it back to the state. So that's a process. So we're always a month behind the end of a harvest month. So it'll be back in what would that be? That would be November that we'll have the data will be available for the general public. So internal people can see that data as it comes in, but as far as it being released, it's not quite released yet. We have nothing this far indicating that this is going to be an unusual year, other than the fact that we have diversion going in. We're not seeing any oil in the product nor in the surface waters, so we don't believe that the oil has had a big impact thus far. As I said before, the young animals will continue growing through the season, and we'll be picking up larger and larger shrimp, as well as the tonnage. If you have 100 shrimp that are 100 count or less, then you will have only 1 pound of shrimp. If you have 100 of 50 count, then you will have 2 pounds of shrimp. So the tonnage will increase as well as the size class.
My name's Gene Schexnaydre, and I mostly shrimp Lake Pontchartrain this time of year, and I'm about ready to go off for the first time this year in white shrimp season, and weather ain't been playing too good of a role. So I'm gonna go out there and see what I could do, and hopefully I can stay a few hours and the weather cooperates, might, you know, wind up with something. Anywhere from New Orleans east to St. John Parish, the washout they call. So that covers almost the whole lake from east to west. Last year it was mediocre. You might average maybe 150, 200 pounds, and a few weeks later or a few days later, same thing. They're hit and miss. But 2 years before that, they had a lot of white shrimp in the lake. And you was averaging probably 250, 350 pounds a day, you know, a trip. And it all varies with the weather. You know, some years are better than others, and hopefully this year will be better than last year. Usually they don't have browns this time of year. Them browns get out July, beginning of August. I never seen a brown shrimp in August, because they come in May, and they leave right around beginning around 4th of July. You can damn near shut it down. Over the years, you know, you get a school of shrimp in Lake Pontchartrain opposed to Lake Bourne. The shrimp in Lake Pontchartrain are always nicer than Lake Bourne, because there's different schools coming in the whole time. In some years you might have more than one school and multi-schools, you know, and different sizes. It ranges from September to December, you know. It's all different sizes during that time.